right, well, thank you for making it to this late hour at Apttus Accelerate. I'm Brian Goldberg. I'm a customer success manager at Apttus. Spent 10 years in implementing lead-to-cash systems and looking for the data insights inside of them. Marilyn?
Marilyn Hardy, a customer of Apttus starting this year. I'm very excited to share with you some of our thought processes related to descriptive analytics that helped us lead to our methodology for implementing the CLM tool.
Great. So I'm going to walk you through what descriptive analytics is and some examples of it, and then Marilyn is going to give us a real-life use case at BNSF Railroad. So you can think of analytics as a pyramid of sophistication. And at the base of the pyramid is descriptive analytics, a historical summary of your business data. Above that is predictive analytics, which is what will that data be in the future. And we have prescriptive, which is what can you do to one factor to influence second factor, your business goal. And then the advanced cognitive analytics, which is automatically adjusting your business rules to guide you to that business goal. So I'm going to put a real-life example on this here. Your descriptive analytic could be, what was your margin in the past? Your predictive analytic is, what will the average margin be in the future? Prescriptive is, what should my discount rate be to optimize my goal, the high margin? And finally, the cognitive analytic is, let's automatically adjust my discount rate so that I hit my goal, my margin. But today we're going to be focusing on the base of the pyramid, descriptive analytics, which is core and a must-have if you want to do any of the advanced stuff. The importance of descriptive analytics, besides being the base of the pyramid, is that it gets your whole organization on the same page and allows for deeper insight. So all those basic definitions around revenue or profit or risk, everyone's living on the same page and folks can dig deeper. Of course, you can catch red flags early, and you can also do hypothesis testing, adjust some things about your business, and see the results. So descriptive analytics are really important to iterating on any of your software implementations. So what types of tools can you use to measure your quote-to-cash descriptive analytics? Up top right, we have CRM tools. With your Microsoft Dynamics or your Salesforce, your other CRM, many of them come with a built-in reporting engine. This is a great tool at the early stages of your quote-to-cash maturity model. Unfortunately, these reports can only go so far, and if you want to go deeper reports, you're going to move to a BI tool, business intelligence tool. These are a bit pricey, and sometimes you have to do a lot of data architecture in the beginning. But with BI tools, you can do any sort of reporting, and you can bring in data from multiple sources. This includes Salesforce Wave, Microsoft Power BI, Cognos Analytics, lots of different tools out there, and many of them are very competitive. A newer area is NL, or natural language analytics, which allows your users to ask their data questions, such as, what is my pipeline next month? Or what was my commission last month? This is a really new space and a very exciting end user experience that I encourage you to investigate. This is not for deep reporting. This is for end user ad hoc reporting to really connect with the data. And finally, I find most exciting embedded analytics, which takes typical pieces of software that are not analytics pieces of software, like for instance Apttus CPQ, and embeds analytics into the product. And more software companies are doing this. So as an example, when you're inside the Apttus shopping cart and you're purchasing a product, the sales rep is quoting a product, it'll actually give you an estimate of the commission. This is not machine learning. This is just using basic math and descriptive analytics, but giving you insight in the right place at the right time and helping impact the decision. So there's a lot of important reasons why your CRM plus your quote-to-cash, your entire lead-to-cash flow should be continuous and cohesive. If not, what you end up with poor data quality and ultimately incorrect analytics that are going to point you in the wrong direction. And I'm going to give you an example from the healthcare space. So a lot of healthcare companies use their CRM tool to manage their pipeline management. But customers order from a completely unrelated back-end system. The doctor or the pharmacist or the healthcare professional will go into a back-end system and place the order. What you end up with is you end up with a pipeline in your CRM that's on an island and completely unrelated to your orders. And so this lowers the value to the sales rep, lowers the reason to keep up the data integrity, and you end up with an inaccurate pipeline, an inability to roll out sales strategies, and the only revenue reporting is on the back end with your ERP folks. So your entire business loses exposure to those revenue reports. If you do put your quote to cash in a single cohesive system, there's a lot of powerful analytics you can generate. Here are some examples of a few, and I'm posting these up here because I sometimes feel like these are missed, and I think they're interesting, but there's lots more out there. So we'll start with the legal realm, term exceptions. This is an area where you can look at how many custom terms are being edited across all of your agreements and how often are they being edited. Once you have insight into this and what's going on, you can deal with it in two ways. You could say, hey, we don't want any more of these custom terms, let's get rid of them, they're causing too much risk. Or you can say, all these custom terms are similar, let's instead make a new standard term and put it in our boilerplate language and reduce the cycle time. Now, cycle time is measuring steps along a process. How long does it take chronologically? And what this allows you to do is look for those bottlenecks, drill in, and keep iterating on your processes. And I'm going to talk about sales analytics, attach rates, discount rates, win rate. Attach rate is, are you attaching those premium bundles or those economy bundles, and in what situations? What are your reps discounting and who's winning? By looking at your best reps and looking at their behavior, you can say, gee, I want the rest of my sales team to be doing the same thing. And by learning that behavior, you can use your software and influence other reps to do those same behaviors. From the revenue side, it can be just as powerful. If you're a company that's focused on new revenue, perhaps you're losing customers out the back door, take that churn rate report and put it front and center in your sales team, and you'll really start influencing behavior. If your churn rate is low and you feel like you have a healthy customer base, you can look at gross margin. Is your sales team making the right sales? Are they selling profitable deals? And if they are making profitable deals and your entire growth rate is healthy, you might have a lot of revenue coming in, but your finance team can't deal with bringing in the cash, completing the orders. And so your days sales outstanding and the amount of time it takes to turn that order into a cash will continue to grow. Your days sales outstanding will grow. In those situations, your revenue or your financial processes need to be faster, or you need more financial folks to join the team. So to help you with some of those analytics and others, Apttus is introducing our analytics collaboration space, our quote-to-cash analytics group inside our community. If you're a customer, I encourage you to go inside this group and use our new out-of-the-box dashboards. If you're not a customer, feel free to reach out to me. I'm on Twitter at Brian D. Goldberg. Reach out to anyone you know at Apttus, or reach out to your customer success manager at Apttus. We really want to turn this into a collaborative space where Apttus folks as well as customers are talking about descriptive analytics best practices, as well as any of those advanced solutions if you're looking for some of the more advanced analytic functionality. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Marilyn to talk about her use case.
Wonderful. Thank you, Brian. I'm really excited to tell the story about BNSF. We became a Apttus customer last year, and first of all, my role at BNSF is Director of Finance, and I'm the business driver for this product. Normally, you would see that being a law-driven project, and part of my responsibility is billing for certain of our contracts. And 5 years ago, we discovered that there were some clauses within our contracts that we could have billed for, and we missed an opportunity, and it was about $5 million in revenue. And as we got to looking, we found that there were a lot of contracts that potentially had billing opportunities that we were unaware of. The railroad is a very old industry, and BNSF is the leading railroad in North America. We're a Berkshire Hathaway company. We were purchased by them in 2010. We generate about $20 billion in revenue, and the one thing that we do very well is move freight, but the thing that we don't do very well is manage our contracts. And so we have 41,000 employees. We're in 28 of our states, and we're in 3 provinces in Canada. And we have a huge network, as you can see. But again, the thing that we don't do well is manage our contracts. And so I made it a personal mission. We had a repository for those contracts, but we really had no way to manage those. And as we connected with Apttus and made our decision to implement their CLM tool, I was very, very excited because I think there is a lot of potential out there. We have about 265,000 active contracts, and we really have no insight into that. Those contracts represent about $7 billion in spend, we believe. We have about 24 different groups within our company that actually generate on a regular basis contracts, and then we, of course, have our one-offs. And so we had no formal workflow for doing those contracts. We had no way to know when a contract was up for renewal. A lot of our contracts have escalation clauses in them. We had no idea, unless we kept it on our Excel spreadsheets, we had no idea when those contracts would escalate. And one of the things that we're experiencing in our industry is a large turnover. The average age of the employee that works in the railroad is probably 50 years old. And so we're having a lot of people who are up for retirement. A lot of this is institutional knowledge that's in their heads, and they know it. But as people turn over, we're losing insight into what's going on with our contracts. So a CLM tool was very, very important to BNSF. So we are implementing our project in phases, which we think makes a lot of sense for us. And as I was listening to a lot of the workshops going on yesterday and today, there's a lot of options as to how you would implement CLM. Do you go all in, or you do phases? And for us, it made sense to do a phased approach, primarily because we really had no system. And because it was a finance-driven project, we wanted to make sure that people really understood what we were doing and use it as an opportunity to change a business process. I was listening to a workshop earlier this morning, and I can't remember who was doing it, but they said 70% of the project time relates to the business process and 30% relates to TS, and that makes a lot of sense from our perspective as well. We are spending a lot of time making sure that we have outlined a business process that works for us. So one of the challenges that we do have, of course, because we never had a system, is the resistance to change. And I also believe because it was a finance-driven project, our law department was not as engaged in the process. But as they learn more and more about it, they are coming to terms with it and are embracing it. So we got started a little bit slow. We thought we had done a good job of bringing people on board, but you never can do a good enough job to communicate and to just communicate the benefits of our new system. And then the decentralized ownership was an issue that we had. Interestingly enough, one of our biggest questions was, who owns the contract? Somebody can create the contract, and then you have people who get it executed, and then for my team, we administer it. But at the end of the day, the big question was, who really owns that contract? Because that owner is the one who we needed to talk to help us drive a business process. We had a lot of discussions around that process. And then our business case initially was based on an enterprise system, but we felt like because we were wanting to really look at historical historical information and data, it made sense for us to do a phased-in approach. As I said earlier, we have about 265,000 active contracts. Now, we have really never managed those. We probably, for all intents and purposes, don't have 265 active, but as far as our repository is concerned, those contracts are active. And so we are implementing the tool on a phased-in approach, and we're actually doing 3 phases. This year, we're implementing 4 contract types, and it's primarily on the sales side. Next year, we'll be implementing all of our sales side contracts, and then thereafter, we're hoping everybody will come and we will get all of our contracts. So metadata, because we were really focused on descriptive analytics and trying to understand what was in our historical contracts, metadata was very important to us. And so before we even made the decision about going with Apttus, we had contracted with a third party, Brightleaf, and they helped us pull together and really understand our metadata. With the 4 contract types that we're implementing initially, we went through and outlined all the metadata that we would need to be able to analyze those contracts. And Brightleaf is here, and they did an awesome job for us, helping us to understand exactly what it was we needed, developing playbooks to make sure that the information that they extracted was what we needed. And one of the great things about starting out that way is that from the information Brightleaf was able to give us, we were able to start billing for those clauses that we knew were there that we had never billed before. And so even before we've implemented CLM, we've started to get a benefit and a return on our investment because now we have metadata that we can take action on. So if you're looking at your historical contracts, getting that metadata is very important. You know, there is an argument for starting from one point and then moving forward. But as a business owner, I want to see my entire population. I don't want to go into 2 different systems, and I want to make sure that I have a complete picture. So for us at BNSF, all those historical contracts are very important. So, you know, people tell you about all the mistakes you make, and you hope that you learn from those, but we heard all the mistakes and then we still repeated them. So we learned a lot, and we haven't fully implemented. We implemented our first contract type last month. And so we're now processing through that. But again, implementation always takes longer than you anticipate. We really underestimated the influence it would have on the business process. But one of the things that we did figure out was that it was more important to spend time on that business process than to rush through things. And then ensuring that you have the correct key stakeholders. Again, we thought we communicated well, we thought we made a great business case, but that is a continuous process that you have to keep going, and making sure that your stakeholders are engaged in the project is so very important. We identified our business process prior to development, and actually, I was listening to some testimonials on their website, on Apttus' website, and kudos to companies who can implement in 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. Apttus has been at our shop since September of last year. And so not because of anything that they've doing, but we're taking our time to outline our business process so that, because we're positioning ourselves for an enterprise solution. And we want to make sure that the process that we're implementing will work for all of our contract types. So we are spending the time up front, investing it to make sure that the system is good for us for the future. And then using that phased-in approach to implement. For BNSF, because we have 41,000 employees all over the country, very decentralized, doing a phased-in approach made a lot of sense to us. We are the idea that if we build it, they will come. And so with our first few contract types, we are confident that people will love our system and then they will want to come. And so, and that's the route that we chose. So at the end of the day, the results that we've gotten is we are now in the process of cleaning up our contracts. And I think once we're done, we're not going to have 265 active contracts. We will have a number that is much less than that. And I have to tell you, so the railroad is a very old industry, and Samir can attest to this. We gave him contracts that dated back to the early 1900s. And so we have I mean, they were written on typewriters with whiteout. And again, for all intents and purposes, they were still active. So we have a lot of contract cleanup to do with our contracts. And then our contract life cycle, we're starting to see, even though it's been a month, we have information that we can now manage from. We know where our contracts are, and it's in its cycle, and so that's helping us out as well. And I'm looking forward to, by the end of the year, when we have all of our phase 1 complete, how that's going to impact our contract cycle. And then you can easily track key dates. I can't tell you how much rework my department has done because, oops, we missed a contract escalation. Now we got to go back and re-rate bills because we should have escalated a contract at the beginning of the year. We've got a better handle on that, and going forward, we'll have a lot more efficiency in our group. And then, of course, you can obtain the data more quickly, and you can actually obtain them. And in our instance, we couldn't obtain the data unless we did it manually and had done it over a period of time. Now it's easier for us to run reports and get information out from our contracts. So I just want to kind of summarize with, please don't try to optimize your short-term results and then suffer as far as your long-term strategy is concerned. It's so important that you take the time up front to get the information, get your business process outlined, instead of rushing to implement versus taking some time to do so.
All right, well, thank you for coming. In summary here, Descriptive Analytics are the base and they're fundamental to getting started on your quote-to-cash journey. Align your team on goals, and if you want to move the needle, focus on the reports that matter, not all of the noise reports, and you can really accomplish some of your goals just the way BNSF has. We're going to take questions over in the speaker circle, a little bit back there, and we're going to try to get these sessions back on time, so thank you for joining.